and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while and I'm sorry. Nursing school has been super busy this semester. It's the busiest semester of all the semesters, so it's really crazy, but I'm trying to do as much as I can. So the last time I talked to you, I believe I gave a fish room update and I was talking about potentially getting a 110-gallon oval stock tank, and I eventually talked my parents into letting me have one. And I picked that up a little over a week ago. After I got it in here, I had to maneuver the room around because it's crazy. But I had to move some things and get things squared away, and the tank behind me was in the center, and now it's moved down because the stock tank is in and it sits against the wall. You can kind of see the top of it right there. But it's been super crazy. I've been really busy with that too. When I got it, I started thinking about what I wanted to do with it, what I wanted it to look like. So in case I haven't mentioned it, I got it from Tractor Supply. I paid $69.99 for it, which is a really good deal for that size of stock tank. If I would have got that in an aquarium, I would have been looking at $400 to $500, and that was not in my budget. So this was the next best thing. I wanted it to put my bigger fish. They're outgrowing their tanks pretty fast. Not being one of those, he's my red Aranda. I usually call him big head or butt head, or sometimes both. He's getting super big. Z, my blue Aranda, is getting really big. I just needed a place to grow. So, and they're both males, and you know, sometimes people say that females are bigger than males, and in my cases, haven't seen that yet, so we'll see. I started thinking about what I wanted it to look like, and I ended up going on Chewy.com. I buy a lot of my stuff from there, my fish supplies. I get Prime off of there for like $11 or $12. Sometimes it's on sale for $8, and at my stores here, that will cost you about 20 bucks. So I was super excited when I found it. That's actually how I found the website. I get a lot of my stuff there, and I started looking at rocks. I didn't want like small rocks like that are in most of my aquariums. I wanted something bigger because I knew that if I used small rocks, I would need a lot of them to cover this tank. And so I ended up going with a mixed pebble rock, I think is what it was called, and I'll link it below. But it looks like river rocks kind of, and I really liked the look. I didn't want to do black. I don't like black on black. I did it for the Ranchu tank just to see what it looked like, and I don't like it, so I decided I want something different, and I ended up going with these, and they look really nice. And I only used, I think, 60 pounds to the bottom of the tank. I didn't use like a whole lot because that is a lot of weight in itself when it's filled up, and I didn't want to add a lot more. So that's what I ended up going with. Once I got it in, it came the next day. Actually, I got free shipping on it, thankfully, because that was kind of the reason I decided to go with Chewy. I didn't want to buy, 60 pounds of rock off Amazon or PetSmart or somewhere and then have to have it shipped to me, because then you would run into a huge amount of shipping charges because of the weight. And with Chewy, if you spend $49, they will ship it for free in 1 to 2 days. And I got it the next day, which was perfect for me. And when it came in, I just kind of rinsed them off and started placing them in the tub. And thankfully I got enough to cover the bottom of the aquarium. They're not double stacked or anything, but they look really nice, and I liked the turnout of it. So after I did that, I had to order my filtration systems, and I went back and forth on it a lot. I really wanted to use Aqua Clears, but unfortunately the side of the stock tank is too wide for them to sit on. So then I thought, I could get a canister filter, but I don't like canister filters. So I ended up going with the easier of the two and got sponge filters. And the sponge filters came from Amazon actually. They're huge sponge filters. Like I'm talking, they're like this big, and they are for I think up to 125 gallon tanks. Being that this one is 110, I only have one in there right now, but I bought the twin pack, so if I feel like I need to add one, I have that one ready to go. So that's pretty much all that's actually in the tank itself right now. I haven't added any plants or decorations or anything. I don't think I want to add decorations. I think I may just get some water lettuce or duckweed, just for a floating plant. I don't think I'm going to plant anything in the tank itself. But we'll see. I may change my mind. Who knows? I change it a lot, so that could happen. After the sponge filters came in, I filled up the tank about 3 inches, and I added 3 inches at a time for about 24 hours until I had it filled up where I wanted it. That was just to make sure that I didn't have any leaks, or nothing was going to give me trouble, because it was really freaking my parents out. If this thing leaks, that's 110 gallons on our hardwood floor. And so I was very cautious about doing that. So I did that for the first 24 hours, and then I let it run. I let the sponge filter run within the tank for about 48 hours, and just made sure that it still wasn't going to leak. I wasn't going to have any problems with that, and it didn't. It did really well. So then yesterday I decided that I was going to put in my first fish, and I ended up adding Z, the blue Aranda. The reason I did that is because my goldfish tend to have a hierarchy system. Whoever the fish that first enters the tank, whoever that may be, they tend to be the king or the queen of all the rest of the fish. So I didn't want there to be any issues with the fish, as I didn't want them to fight each other or harm each other in any way. So I ended up adding him first because he is the least aggressive of any of my fish. So with him being essentially the king, he won't, I don't see the rest of them bothering him, and I don't see him bothering them. So that's kind of the reason I picked him. After I put him in and I let him get acclimated and so on, I added Comet, who is Knight's best friend. If you haven't followed me on here before, Comet has a tail defect, but it happens to be pretty much the only fish that Knight never really fought. They've been together since I've had Knight. They've been together, so he just really got along with him, and I thought that was best. So I ended up moving Comet into the tub. He's been in there almost 24 hours now, and he and Z have gone along very well. I haven't had trouble with them at all. So I'm going to be moving Knight in today, and see how they react to one another. I'm not sure, but we'll see. I'm hoping that everything will be okay, and I can add the fantails at a later date. But the plan right now is to, once I move those in, I'm hoping maybe by the weekend or at the latest next week sometime, I will be able to use the 40-gallon breeder as a fry tank. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know who I'm breeding first. It depends on who's giving me the most breeding behavior, and I'll go with that. I would like to breed Malachi and Knight or Z, but she's still kind of recovering from her illness. She's not 100% yet, so I'm not sure if I should just wait on that and maybe try the butterflies or my Ranchu. The reason I can't try another Aranda is she is my only female Aranda, so I'll have to work that out and see who I can get, but we'll see about it. If the fantails do not cooperate in the tub, I have made the decision that I'm going to sell them. And the reason being is they're not cooperative with the rest of my fish, and they're driving me crazy, mostly because they don't want to behave, and it drives me insane. Eli and Ellie, I got them sometime in the late fall of last year. Grew them out. They're nice fantails, but they just give me too much personality, and I hate to say that, but they're just too mean generally. I hope that they do well in the tub and they get along, but we'll see. If they don't, then I've decided that I'm going to sell them. Anyway, after I got the tank filled up, if you noticed in my last video, I showed you my dehumidifier. I currently have it off because it's a little loud and you really couldn't hear anything that I'm saying if I had it on. But without a lid on the stock tank, it was really working my dehumidifier really hard. So I had to think of something else to do. And if you ever watched The King of DIY, Joey, he has like plastic panels that he uses as his lids. And I could not find a video that talked about those, and I could not remember what they were called. And so I posted it on the Goldfish community forum, and Jim was able to tell me that they were called polycarbonate roofing panels. And thank you, Jim, for that, because I could not remember for the life of me what those things were called. But I was able to pick up a sheet from my local Lowe's store, and I cut it in half and was able to use it for the lid, so that I didn't have so much evaporation and so on, so I didn't really, work my dehumidifier so hard. And it worked out very well. I cut them with scissors, and I didn't have trouble with that at all. It was very easy to cut and place. I'm going to go ahead and move Night into the tank, and then I'm going to show you a shot of the tank. I don't know if you'll be able to see them or not. The water's a little bit foggy. I added some cycled media from my other tanks into the stock tank just to kind of kickstart the cycling process. And I think I have a bacterial bloom going on, so we'll see about that. But I'm going to try. I'm also looking into getting some sort of lighting for the tank, but I haven't made a decision on that yet. So you may or may not be able to see them very well, but we're going to try. So here we go. So here is the stock tank. The sponge filter is there in the middle, so that thing really is huge. And the bags you see around it are the cycled media. So there's the rocks. They look really nice. Still foggy, like I said. There is Night. He gave me a little trouble catching him, but he did okay. Z's there behind him, and then Comet's the smaller Aranda behind Z. So Night did not want to get caught. He did not want to leave his home, but I think he will like it much better in here. It's much bigger for him to interact with other fish too, and he's going to grow so much bigger in here as well. He is my biggest fish that I currently own, and he is just over 2 pounds, so he is huge. But there's Comet and Z there. So that's the tub right now. I did get, this is kind of a close-up of the lids. So that's them. That's just a very small piece of it, but it's very flexible, but it will hold its form. Like, it won't bow in like some lids do. It's very sturdy, and it's kind of it's got that curved area so air can still get in and out of the tub. And you can drill holes in this if you want to add some extra oxygen exchange, but I found that these are plenty enough. So that's kind of what's going on right now. Lucy is still in the 40. I have to move her as well. She's not going in the tub though. They would aggravate her heart out because they're all males. So that's kind of where I'm at. So far the tub's done very well. I'm happy with it. Hoping that it clears up some. I'm not very fond of cloudy water. Don't like it, but that's okay. It'll happens with all new aquariums or tanks. It's just part of setting up. I'm also doing frequent water testing to make sure my ammonia or nitrite doesn't spike all of a sudden. But for now, it's done very well. I'm doing 50% water changes every 2 to 3 days on it right now. But so far, so good. So that's really all I have for you today. Hopefully there'll be some fry videos out soon if I can get somebody to breed for me, but we'll see. That's all I have for today, so I'll see y'all next time.